hentai games? Is this the Karen that got my hentai games banned? And we need to talk about it, chat. We need to talk about it. We need to talk about it right here, right now.
In July 2025, suddenly over 400 games quietly vanished from Steam. There was no announcement and no court order involved, just gone. Entire libraries delisted, developer pages wiped, and worst of all, unless you were watching Steam DB, you probably didn't even notice.
No, I don't even know what kind of games have been completely gone, actually. Is there a list of the games that were completely delisted?
At first, this looked like your typical content moderation sweep, the usual cleanup of questionable visual novels, but we would soon learn that this wasn't routine. It was the direct result of a dubious campaign perpetrated by a bizarre fringe activist group. Most gamers have...
Wait. Did you just say French activist? Excuse me, can you repeat that one more time?
That this wasn't routine. It was the direct result of a dubious campaign perpetrated by a bizarre fringe activist group.
It's always the French. It's always the French. Oh my god. I praised your guy. I praised you guys for Expedition 33. And now you're doing this? I know Sayuri is French. I know that she's a French VTuber. Thank you for the follow. Welcome. But Sayuri, control your people over there. Get them back in line, okay? Stop letting them do shenanigans over there. God, man, honestly, Jesus Christ.
Most gamers have never heard of an odious organisation that blends their version of radical feminism with hardline religious ideology. Believing that they have the right to censor, it appears that they have made it their mission to purge anything they find morally offensive. While in most cases it feels like the majority of us just find these sorts of people mildly annoying, horrifyingly in this instance their calculated campaign worked. As of the time of writing this video, more than 17,000 titles are now unsearchable on platforms like Itch.io, and hundreds more have been removed outright from Steam.
It's dumb.
The sinister group behind this is called Collective Shout, and
yeah, whoever this group is, they need to die off is what they need to do, you know?
Has been pushing their agenda onto the world by what seems any means necessary. You see, instead of pushing for
wow, I literally just got spoiled on Expedition 33. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Wow, thank you for spoiling for me.
Legislation or democratic reform, they went straight to the top of the financial food chain. Visa, MasterCard, PayPal, Discover, JCB, and PaySafe. In a series of pressure letters, they accused these platforms of facilitating games which contain unacceptable themes. Within days, Valve quietly amended its developer guidelines, adding a clause stating that any content violating payment, processor, and card network rules would no longer be allowed.
That's pretty stupid in my personal opinion, but I understand that Steam can't do anything, but I have to say that is pretty stupid.
Violently shifting power from developers and players to credit card companies.
Yeah.
Suddenly, hundreds of games are gone, not because they broke the law or anything, but because a few unelected ideologues decided they shouldn't exist. And the world's largest financial networks agreed.
Literally, if you're gonna go after these other games in general, why not go after, you know, GTA? You can kill women and people, run them over, rob people, do drugs, drink, go to strip clubs, do all this debauchery stuff, you know? It's like, why don't you go after them, huh?
No public debate was needed, and there's no transparency involved, just swift, corporate enforced censorship masquerading as risk management. And in my opinion, what games you want to play should be up to you. For example, you might want to take advantage of the fact that right now you can grab 43% off Expedition 33, 37% off Black Myth Wukong, 29% off Stellar Blade, and 32% off the stunning Wu Chang Fallen Feathers, all through my discount links below. Thousands of retro and modern games are currently up to 90% off, so whether you're curating your forever library or panic buying before another purge, don't pay full price like a muppet. Click the pinned comment, build your collection, and enjoy the games you actually want while you still can. So, who exactly are the people behind this sweeping act of censorship?
Who's the
Who was
lady,
it
huh?
that
Who is
managed
it?
to pressure
to me.
billion-dollar financial institutions into acting as global morality police? Well, as mentioned earlier, the perpetrators are Collective Shout, but who exactly is this shady outfit? According to many online sources, Collective Shout is an Australian activist group that brands itself as a grassroots campaign for a world free of sexploitation. But behind the slogans lies something far more.
You want to know something? For many, many generations, many, many years, many, many millennia, sex always sells. That's just how it works. Sex always sells. All right? Get that through your thick ass fucking head, okay? All right? That's just how it is. They hate fun. Let's just get rid of what they like, you know? Let's just get rid of what they enjoy and what they like.
More extreme, as we
Let's see
shall
how they feel,
quickly
you know?
learn. The organization was founded in 2009 by Melinda Tenkard-Rice,
So this is the person. So this is the lady that began all of this in 2009, huh? Really? Just like what Asmongold said, there are two people in this world that causes everyone problems. There are two people. Two types of people. And this is one of them.
self-described pro-life feminists. Collective Shout appears to be one of those groups that operate at the intersection of radical feminism, Christian fundamentalism, and moral authoritarianism. They're anti-porn, anti-sex work, anti-abortion, and openly hostile to sexual expression in media, not just in Australia, but anywhere their influence can reach.
If you want to censor your shit in Australia, be my fucking guest. Keep that shit in Australia. But the moment that you immediately start reaching out to other countries to start censoring their shit because of your bullshit fucking role, the way how you want to live your life, it's like, nah, get the fuck out of here, you know? Like, honestly. Like, literally straight up. Like, if you want to start censoring other people because of your own morals and shit, no. Get out of here. No. I don't want to deal with it. No. No. Keep that shit in there. And also stop forcing other people with your stupid morale, okay? Let people consume what they want to consume. If you don't like something because it offends you, just block it and move away from it. That's it. Just move on. Do your own daily life, you know? Thank you for the follow. Welcome. They want to enforce an authoritarian regime with them as the authority. I'm sorry, but I refuse. I refuse this 100%.
Rice's ideological roots are hardly subtle.
Hey,
From 1993 to 2005, she served as an advisor to Senator Brian Harradine, a Catholic ultra-conservative who helped block the abortion pill RU486, opposing contraception and IVF, and pushing policies aligned with Opus Dei-style Catholic groups. Rice has gone as far as to describe adult entertainment as cultural terrorism and describes abortion as violence against women. After her time in politics,
she says abortion is violence against women. That is the most craziest statement I have ever heard in my entire life. That is the most twisted like warped mind perspective I've ever seen ever. Not even fucking what's his face down the fucking block from the Void thinks like this, to be honest. Jesus Christ.
She became a senior lecturer at the University of Notre Dame, Australia, a private Catholic institution that aligns its curriculum with church doctrine. Her active
It's a religion thing, man. Like, honestly. You know, I'm gonna say this. I think religion was a mistake to be invented. I'm gonna be honest with you. Religion was a mistake being invented. That's all I gotta say. That's just my personal opinion. You can agree to disagree, but, you know.
activism isn't just informed by religion, it's shaped by it. The group's campaigns manager, Caitlin Roper, shares the same ideological fervour. She co-founded the Feminist Academy of Technology and Ethics, authored Sex Dolls, Robots and Woman Hating, and serves on the board of Reclaim the Night Perth. All of this doesn't build up a good picture because it paints Roper not as a neutral advocate for balanced policy, but as a hardened ideologue with a long history of conflating fringe technology and lawful adult expression with systemic abuse, leaving little room for nuance, artistic freedom, or democratic debate. On top of all of this, Collective Shout's leadership is stacked with ex-government advisors, missionaries, anti-trafficking NGO staff, and corporate risk consultants, many of whom conflate consensual sex work with slavery and push deeply religious values under the guise of consumer protection. This is not just a scrappy activist group shouting from the sidelines, it's a well-funded, highly coordinated operation with deep ties to Australian institutions, including the education sector, regulatory bodies, and public funding channels. And now they are coming for your games. Their tactics are ruthless and effective. They don't lobby government.
What is the point of the ESRB rating if there's just a bunch of old fucking middle-aged Karen-looking women that's literally trying to dictate what video games you should consume? You know, it's like these white middle-aged women literally have so much time on their hands, like straight up. Like, honestly, they have so much time on their hands that they literally do something retarded as this, you know, trying to target video games, even though the ESRB is there to tell, like, this game is rated T for teens, M for mature, and E for everyone. What is the point of literally having that if you have some dumb middle-aged women in Australia trying to tell you you can't consume this product because it's offensive to me? Jesus, not enough D? Probably. They probably don't get enough dick in their life, to be honest. That's probably the reason why. That's why they probably have so much time on their hands, you know?
Or push for new legislation. They pressure corporations directly, sending coordinated emails to PR departments.
If I want to buy me a monster fucking hentai video game and I want to play it on my day off, I will play it on my day off. Okay? All right? I ain't gonna let some middle-aged white woman from Australia tell me that I am not allowed to buy this because it offends her. I'm like, I don't care. I don't care who you are. You let me consume what I want to consume, okay? My money, I do what I want to do. All right? You're not the boss of me. You're not my mom, okay? You don't tell me what to do, all right? Keep your morals and your morals and whatever the fuck you want to feel offended to yourself, okay? All right? Keep that shit away from me, all right? I don't need to hear it, Karen, all right? Thank you for the follow. Welcome.
Shareholders and risk officers loaded with phrases like digital trafficking and child abuse simulators. They don't need evidence, they don't need public support. They just need to convince the right risk-adverse executive that hosting a game might end up looking bad on a quarterly report. The moment Collective Shout flooded inboxes with a spreadsheet of problematic games, platforms like Steam and payment processors like Visa and MasterCard quietly fell in line. They complied without resistance. The cold reality is, though, these corporations don't actually care about protecting women or children.
No, they
What they
don't.
care about is plausible deniability, outsourcing moral control to a
Yeah, they mostly care about the images too as well at the same time.
fringe group with an authoritarian worldview when dressing it up as progressive activism. To them, this is just risk management. Silencing niche creators and delisting adult content is a safe investment option, an easy way to avoid PR scandals without having to stand for anything at all. So, now that we know who these people are and what they have achieved, let's look at how they pulled it off in
I'd be
less
curious.
than a week.
How did they do it?
What unfolded in July 2025 should concern anyone who even remotely cares about digital media, creative autonomy, or freedom of expression. It began on the 22nd of March when a controversial visual novel titled No Mercy Hangover.
I knew it. I so fucking knew it. I knew this game was gonna come back in the future. Oh my god, dude. It's literally this fucking game, dude. Oh my god. Wow, dude. Wow, dude. The dark fantasy game that literally a lot of women fetishizes and fantasizes this, you know? That's so dumb.
Launched on Steam with the tagline, "Never take no for an answer." The game featured non-consensual themes and initially slipped under the radar, but that changed on the 3rd of April when Collective Shout discovered it and launched a campaign to have it removed.
Okay, but no one gives a fuck. Goddamn. I don't care, dude. I don't care.
They gathered 70,000 petition signatures and flooded Valve with 3,463 emails, all directed to CEO Gabe Newell. On the 11th of April, Valve caved and pulled the game, but rather than claim victory, Collective Shout escalated. The turning point came on the 11th of July when they issued an open letter to the CEOs of Visa, MasterCard, PayPal, Discover, JCB, and PaySafe, accusing Steam of hosting over 500 games containing and
What is wrong? What's wrong with that? There's literally nothing wrong with that. There's literally straight up hentai of it that's super popular of it, and then there's also literally women who literally fantasizes that and fetishizes that. These are literally Karens, middle-aged white women that literally don't understand. Like straight up, these women just literally don't get it.
content. The letter included
Also,
no
at the same time, incest is also popular too as well. So
legal citations, no nuance, and no appeals, just incendiary claims designed to
even then, the quality of the game is not that crazy, to be honest. Like literally, it's literally just for shock value. Remember that one fucking game that literally caused a lot of chaos or so back in the day? What was it called? It was called Raged or something like that, right? That one game where you start shooting up people because he was super edgy and everything like that, you know? That also caused a lot of controversies too. But when the game came out, it was just nothing that crazy. It was just pretty mid, you know? That was it. It's the same thing with this game too. It has a crazy over the top concept, but the gameplay is just kind of mid. It's the same thing also with well, I wouldn't say it's mid or anything like that, but Goblin Slayer had like the most craziest first episode, made this fucking controversy and all this other shit, right? Because of the first episode, because of the, a girl actually got, raped or so by a bunch of goblins, and then the whole entire internet went on crazy. But then after a while, it's just kind of like, it's just how it is, no one really cared after a while,
trigger panic within corporate compliance departments,
Thank you
and
for the follow.
well,
Welcome.
it worked. On the 16th of July, Valve quietly added Clause 15 to the Steamworks distribution agreement. This new clause stated that any game violating the rules of payments processors
That's
and card
stupid.
networks could now be removed. No specifics were listed, and there was no examples, no appeals, and in a single sentence, Valve had effectively handed
Discord.
editorial
Welcome.
control of its platform
Thank you.
to private financial entities with no transparency or oversight, and they didn't publicly acknowledge the change, but of course the general public would soon learn the truth.
Of course.
Between the 16th and 19th of July, watchdog site SteamDB recorded over 400 game removals, the vast majority being adult visual novels and simulators. Many had previously passed the Steam's own moderation.
Not my demon big titty mommy girl. Oh my god, they got rid of my big titty demon mommy girl, chat. Oh, I am rioting right now. We're going to Australia and literally fucking pointing the finger at these people of how dare they get rid of my big titty demon waifu mommy girl, man. That is just terrible, dude. I honestly, that is absurd. Look at this shit, chat. Look at this. Look at this. This is beautiful. This is a work of art right here. This is beautiful. This is what usually every single guy wants, you know?
And developers were given no notice. Some were flagged for vague tag violations, others for adult themes that had never been a problem before. A few received internal notices that payouts were frozen due to payment risk concerns.
So stupid.
Collective Shout emboldened openly celebrated the purge. Only 82 remain, they boasted, claiming they had crippled an entire genre in 72 hours.
That's so dumb, because you want to know something? If they try to attack that, if they literally try to attack the hentai in anime, you know for a fact Japan is going to go mental on these people. Or the entire hentai community is going to fucking show Australia what true power of goonerassery is. That's all I gotta say, you know?
This left a sour taste in many gamers' mouths, especially based on the fact that not all of these titles are just low-effort shock titles. Some were mature, narrative-driven indies. Others were caught in the purge because of user-submitted tags and not their actual content. Legitimate developers who followed all existing rules were delisted anyway. Rather expectedly, the backlash was swift. PC Gamer ran the headline, Australian anti-corn.
If Japan literally decides to close their doors, I'm gonna go move to Japan. If there is a will, there is a way. I will ask Legal Mindset to help me out to find a way to get into Japan.
Group claims responsibility. Everyone hated that, capturing the overwhelming online disdain for Collective Shout's role in pressuring Steam. Gamers, developers and commentators across the political spectrum criticised the move as puritanical overreach and financial censorship. Anna Valens, one of the few Western journalists covering the story seriously, revealed that Vice's owner, Savage Ventures, had requested the removal of her articles on Collective Shout, not due to any journalistic inaccuracy, but because of concerns about the controversial subject matter. Proving, once again, that censorship doesn't always arrive with sirens and handcuffs.
You trying to censor the internet is probably the most biggest mistake you can ever do in your entire life, to be honest. That's all I gotta say. The internet, people are a lot more powerful than you actually think. These women are literally underestimating how powerful the internet can actually be. And if you mess with the wrong people on the internet, oh boy, get ready for a rude awakening is all I gotta say.
Times it trickles down via corporate liability decisions. When even critical reporting about censorship is censored, it becomes clear that the goal isn't safety or responsibility, it's control.
Can't go wild,
and the
to be
price
honest.
Is an open internet. In Japan, the reaction was even more severe. Multiple developers reported frozen payouts and delisted games, despite complying with Japanese law. Yamada Taro, a member of the Japanese Diet, called the move neo-colonial speech policing and opened a formal investigation into foreign financial influence on Japan's digital markets.
If Japan literally opens up like a new card or so for like worldwide or so to have to get a share of the pie or so Visa and MasterCard doesn't get like 80% of the market itself, I would literally switch over to that, to be honest.
Applications like Automaton and GameSpark accused Western institutions of treating Japanese developers as convenient cultural scapegoats. This has gone far beyond just a Steam problem. It's a global precedent and a dangerous one at that.
It's kind of stupid, to be honest, how a group of women literally have this much power to change, like, pretty much almost the entire world, to be honest. It hasn't really done anything here yet. There's like literally nothing crazy over here, you know, so. But like, that's like unacceptable. That is just retarded in general, you know? Like, straight up, we don't have this shit in the void, you know? Where like a group of people can control, you know, a fucking mega corporation, like something like Visa or MasterCard, to change, you know, their shit, you know?
Terrible situation highlights a deeper truth that, up until this point, rarely got acknowledged enough. The fact that we appear to live in a universe where Visa and MasterCard run the modern internet rather than governments, voters, or even platforms themselves.
We need to bring back... I do have to agree with Asmongold. We have to bring back the loony bin. We just gotta, like, you know, put them in a padded room with a vest, you know, have their arms crossed in it, and like just kind of keep them there, you know? I think your guys' society would be so much better if you just keep the crazy people in the loony bin. That's all I gotta say, you know?
Between them, these two companies process over 85% of credit card transactions in the United States and more than 80% of global cards-based payments. If you operate a storefront, whether that's Steam, Itch.io, DL Site, Patreon, Fanbox, Subscribestar, or even a Discord Nitro, your survival depends on remaining in their good graces. Lose access to Visa and MasterCard, and suddenly your revenue vanishes overnight. Worse still, because these are private corporations, their rule books are invisible. They are drafted and enforced by legal teams and compliance officers behind closed doors without public scrutiny or accountability. These companies have policies buried in their obscure compliance frameworks that most people will have never heard of, such as Specialty Merchant Registration, which states that any merchant selling adult content must prove they've implemented rigorous moderation, strict age verification, and rapid takedown systems. Failure to comply can result in account freezes, massive fines, or total loss of service. Then there's the so-called Brand Damage Clause, a vague provision that allows Visa or MasterCard to sever ties with any business they believe poses a reputational risk.
That is so stupid in my personal opinion. Brand risk. Okay, buddy, sure.
These features allow for what is known as choke point censorship. After all, there's no need for governments to ban content when financial gatekeepers can make it unviable instead. This means there are no trials, no legislation, and no democratic oversight, just a silent cutoff that renders content unprofitable or unpublishable. And this isn't new, it's just expanding. In 2010, when WikiLeaks published classified diplomatic cables, Visa and MasterCard didn't sue, they simply blocked donations. Within days, the site was nearly bankrupt. It only recovered after years of litigation in Iceland. In 2020, both companies severed ties with Cornhub after a controversial New York Times expose. The article's claims were later criticized for lacking evidence and context, but the fallout was immediate. Over 80% of the site's content was deleted in just 4 days, including countless legal uploads from verified performers. In 2021,
I think I remember that. I think I've heard something about that. I remember hearing about that, actually.
MasterCard introduced these standards for adult content merchants, requiring ID verification for every individual in every frame of every video. OnlyFans, a platform built on adult content, responded by announcing a ban on explicit material. The decision was reversed after a huge mass outrage, but the message was clear: when the banks speak, creators obey. And now
no, it's because like the moment that they banned like NSFW stuff on the OnlyFans thing, their money revenue generating was literally went all the way below the Earth's surface. And then they reversed it and they were like, no, we're sorry, we didn't mean to do that. And then their revenue went back up again after that.
as of 2025, it's the gaming industry's turn. Collective Shout's open letter on the 11th of July accused Steam of enabling abusive and illegal content, even though the games were legal in their home countries.
Yeah, of course.
They sent this letter to Visa, MasterCard, PayPal, Discover, JCB, and PaySafe, as I mentioned earlier, and no courts were consulted. No evidence was required, but the payments processors chose to take action anyway.
That's
Responding
so
to this on the 16th of July, Valve had amended its...
In my personal opinion, these companies need to have an investigation team to look into these things, to be honest. Like these things, if they're actually like there's issues or so. And not like old people. We're talking about new, younger generation people that are in this time frame, that understand this specific time frame. That's what companies need to have, you know?
developer agreement, and just 3 days later, over 400 games had disappeared. The situation is chilling, to say the least. As Nier creator Yoko Taro put it, when commenting on the situation, he stated, "This is a security hole that endangers democracy itself."
Yep.
Because, let's be clear about this isn't just about what got removed, it's about who gets to decide what's allowed in the first place. And more, that power doesn't rest with lawmakers, citizens, or even the platform staff. It sits with a handful of anonymous compliance officers embedded inside vast, unaccountable corporate ecosystems, responding to moral panic from fringe lobbyists like Collective Shout.
Even though these women don't even buy your shit, so at the end of the day, why are you even trying to cater these specific women? They don't really buy any of your products, you know?
Let's peel back another layer, because Visa and MasterCard didn't invent this culture of censorship on their own. There's a deeper force behind it, which is quieter, much more abstract, but much more powerful. And I'm talking about BlackRock and Vanguard, the two largest asset managers on the planet. Together, they oversee $17 trillion in combined assets and own roughly 15% of the voting shares in both Visa and MasterCard. That makes them among the most influential shareholders these companies report to.
That's
and their
terrible.
existence makes the work easier for groups like Collective Shout, because when a tiny activist organization wants to exert pressure, it doesn't need to sway millions of consumers. It only needs to nudge a handful of compliance officers, who in turn are guided by risk-averse corporate boards, who in turn answer to institutional shareholders like BlackRock and Vanguard.
I've heard of BlackRock, but I've never heard of Vanguard before. That's the first time I've ever heard of that name.
These asset managers don't push any one ideology directly, they simply reward stability and brand safety over free expression. In that environment, moral panic becomes a tool, not a threat, allowing groups like Collective Shout to frame their demands as goods business rather than ideological enforcement. These asset managers are not telling anyone what games to ban, as they don't even need to, because the pressure they exert comes through a different mechanism altogether: ESG, or environmental, social, and governance scoring. On paper, ESG sounds like a good idea, a way to reward companies for behaving responsibly, being greener, fairer, more ethical, but in practice, it creates a top-down system where vague, politically malleable criteria decides which businesses get investment and which ones are quietly cut off. It incentivizes corporations not to serve customers or innovate, but to appease unelected third-party scorers. And because no one votes for these standards, there's little transparency over who sets them or how they're measured. It becomes a shadow system of soft coercion.
Oh, do they?
Companies desperate to maintain a high ESG score and stay in the good graces of asset managers preemptively sanitize their platforms. Controversial creators, niche products, and artistic risks are the first to go, not because they're illegal or harmful, but because they might make someone at BlackRock squint. This is exactly why a growing number of people view these asset management giants, BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street, as something close to evil. Not in the cartoonish
State Street. Interesting. That's another company I've never heard of in my entire life.
sense of moustache-twirling villains, but because they operate with immense unaccountable power that quietly shapes the world without ever facing a vote, a headline, or a meaningful check. When a few firms manage trillions in assets and hold significant stakes in nearly every major company, media, tech, finance, energy, defense, they stop being passive investors. They become kingmakers. And while they claim to merely advise or guide, their influence over corporate behavior is profound. Through mechanisms like ESG scoring, they don't need to issue orders. Companies simply fall in line, fearing disinvestment, reputational damage, or being flagged as high risk in someone's spreadsheet. The free market doesn't actually exist. It's a managed one. And it's being managed by entities that act as gatekeepers between capital and creation, and the result is a slow, creeping form of centralization where cultural, economic, and even moral decisions are funneled through the filter of a few assets managers whose priorities are shaped by optics and portfolio stability than by public interest. It's my opinion that their very existence is why Valve delisted games with no public explanation, why Itch.io de-indexed over 17,000 titles overnight, why Japanese developers had payouts frozen despite following all local laws.
I hate it how they're just bullying the Japanese people in general for this shit. I'm like, that's their culture. Why are you trying to dictate their culture? You know? If you don't like it, just don't even bother, like, literally just straight up don't even bother, like consuming that product or consuming that culture. If you don't like it, just ignore it. I just don't understand. Why are we trying to disrespect people's cultures now these days? Like, that's just in it on itself is the most, like, what's the word? I don't know. I was gonna say racist, but I'm like not really racist though. But it's kind of like, I don't know what the word is specifically, but like, it's just like, it's unbelievable to hear this. That like you're literally trying to control someone else's culture in general just because you get offended of what they consume or what they make, basically. And it's like, what's wrong with you? Like literally, what is wrong with you? That's like mental illness right there, straight up.
None of this was about a single offensive game. It was about perceived risk echoing up the financial chain. If you still think this was just about scrubbing a few dodgy visual novels from Steam, you're missing the bigger picture. Because the fallout isn't just about content, it's about culture. And no country is feeling that impact more acutely than Japan.
Yep.
Japanese developers, particularly those in the visual novel space, adult indie circles, or niche narrative games, are being disproportionately targeted.
That's so stupid. That's honestly just so fucking dumb in general, you know? Like literally, they're literally just. I hate it. I hate it how like basically like, almost everybody's been attacking like Japan for their culture, the type of culture that they have. You know, it's like it's just so dumb. You know.
Those have reported frozen payouts, as I mentioned earlier, shadow banned listings and unexplained delistings, all under vague labels like payments processor compliance or risk violations. These aren't illegal works. They simply failed to match the cultural expectations of Western compliance departments. Platforms like Itch.io, once a haven for creative freedom, de-indexed over 17,000 titles from search, a staggering portion of which were Japanese, purely to stay brand safe. And worse still, the standards are...
You're a Latina pretending to be Asian, why? That is the most weirdest question I just received today, to be honest. Is the thing, it can be easily avoided. Adult games are not trying to replace your entertainment. You don't like it, don't consume it. Yeah, exactly. It's like if you don't like it, just block it and just move on. That's about it, you know? Thank you for the follow.
Wildly inconsistent. Japanese creators are penalized for stylized characters, taboo topics, or anime aesthetics.
It's crazy that you kind of asked me that question. Side note, you know, boredom. When you literally have the entire information on your fingertips that literally tells you like what the percentage of Asian Latina is in the world. When you literally have that information, I'm just saying, you know, I'm just gonna call you out for it, you know, like you're telling me that I'm pretending to be Asian. That's cool, you know? Kind of a weird way to introduce yourself, but you know. Can you say the same thing about interracial porn about white women / Latinas taking BBCs? What are you talking about? I'm just talking about you coming into my chat and that's the first thing you type in, you know? Like that's a weird thing to say, you know? That I'm pretending to be Asian, you know? It's like, come on, man. It's like basically me telling you, oh, are you pretending to be white or something? Or are you pretending to be, you know, insert race here? There's a thing called mixed races at the end of the day, you know? I'm just saying, you know? It's kind of weird that he just came in and just, you know, just said that, you know? Like, you know, it's a little bit weird. That's you can't say that it's not weird, you know? It is a little bit weird, I'll be honest with you, you know? Let's just be honest here. Let's do a spade for a spade here, you know? His account was created today, probably a troll. Ah, I see.
Even when their content is age-gated and approved by domestic regulators. Meanwhile, Western AAA games
it's so funny to see that because, like, where I live specifically...
Why would I be white? They have the worst history. Europeans were brutal savages, barbarians, tribals, uncivilized warlords. So was your God Jesus, criminal, illiterate, the biggest conman in history of humanity, and your evil European religion is the root cause of all evil exists today.
So you hate white people? Is that like your statement? So you probably hate me because of my VTuber being white? Oh, you do? Very much? Your mom must be pretty proud to raise a kid like you, huh? I would, you know, your mom sure is pretty proud, I ain't gonna lie, to be honest. Oh, damn, there's a troll emoji. There is. Damn, you're calling me white? That's crazy, man. That's crazy. Do you still want to keep going? You want to keep going? I have no problem if you want to keep going, you know? Keep going, you know?
Race is a social construct. There's no white race, even it exists. Y'all are immune to it due to white privilege, white supremacy, white nationalism y'all actively support and benefit from.
Interesting. Very interesting mind of concept that you have, you know? I'm not even white. I'm not even white either. That's the funny thing about it. This person literally thinks I'm white. That's a crazy assumption there.
What's his bro on?
I don't know. I really don't know what he's on, to be honest. Comes into my chat, tells me I'm pretending to be Asian. You know? Came back on time, someone's being stupid? Yeah, someone's being stupid right now in my chat. This is part of the, apparently this is part of the black delegation dubstep, so...
Shut the fuck up, little bro. No one cares about your big ass.
Why are you even in my channel if you're just going to begin like this, to be honest? Why? What's the point? What are you trying to do? What are you trying to gain, huh? What are you literally trying to gain? What is your quest of what you're trying to do today?
I know bro behind the screen is built like a cockroach.
Could be. It could be. Yeah, he definitely roached out. He's not back. He's not even here. It's crazy that he comes into my chat and tells me that, but I give him the stare, and they walk away immediately. That is a pretty childish behavior, to be honest. We're here talking about some, like, you know, some of the banned stuff and everything, you know? We the Balak delegation revoke the punished. Also, he didn't even spell it correctly either. He literally put it in the punish error of boredom. Be like, I can't say that. Yeah, see, made the guy shut his trap after we called him out. Yeah, of course, because it's like, damn, dude, that's crazy, you know? That's the funny thing about it, you know? But hey, you know what? That's fine. Hey, man, I'm keeping that in the video because I personally think it's pretty funny in my personal opinion. So, anyways, like I said, you know, I get those from time to time on my Twitch. You know, we had some crazy people shouting out. For those on my YouTube audience's side, this is I sometimes get it from time to time, you know? But hey, as long as it's entertainment for my YouTube audiences, there's nothing wrong with it, you know? Hey, man, it is what it is. Anyways, where was I? I don't even remember where was I, to be honest. Also, thank you for the gifted as well. Make sure you say your thank you, Winter. What a very strange individual, to be honest. Honestly, that's like literally mentally ill stuff right there, to be honest. Very, very, very weird. They think I'm white. They think I'm pretending to be pretending to be Asian, apparently, you know, even though like mixed kids is an actual thing. I literally have the definition of I am a mutt, because the definition of a mutt means you have multiple races in you. So yeah, I have multiple races in me. So shocker, isn't it, huh? Crazy.
Graphic sexual violence, torture, or even child abuse continue to sell millions, with MasterCard and Visa supporting, so long as they're dressed up in cinematic presentation and come from a major publisher. It's not about what's allowed, it's about who's allowed to make it, and that's why these Japanese politicians are now sounding the alarm. This is the system where context doesn't matter. A game's fate isn't determined by courts, critics, or cultural norms. It's determined by risk officers in California, scared of bad press and activist noise, where an entire nation's creative industry can be throttled overnight by people who have never set foot there, let alone understood the media they're censoring. And the double standard is impossible to ignore. A Western studio can depict a sexual assault scene in cinematic slow motion, sell 10 million copies and collect awards, but a Japanese doujin circle publishes a fantasy comic with a suggestive elf girl, and their account is frozen and their visibility erased.
That's pretty stupid or so, especially when there's literally like the American sized version of that specific, like the monsters like kidnapping the girl and having like literally monster fucking at the end of the day. Like that's a little bit weird in my personal opinion.
That's not regulation. It's digital colonialism. And if Japan, a global cultural powerhouse with its own laws and massive creative sector, can be quietly censored by a foreign payments cartel.
That's pretty stupid that a foreigner, like in my personal opinion, like literally this is just my own personal opinion, but each country should have their own payment, you know, department or so. And like if people want to sign up to their payment department because theirs are being corrupted and everything like that, it's like, you know, I think it's a little bit weird. Me personally, I don't look at that stuff monster fucking. Oh, I do, but like the Japanese version of it though, the hentai basically is, you know. But like I said, it's just like, honestly, it's like, what do you like? It's weird. I think each country should probably have their own, like, I don't know, I guess their own, like, I guess credit card business thing or so in their specific territory, and they can run however they wanted it over there, you know. Or like Or like if they want to do like a or my second option is if there's like, you know, there's US American version of of Visa and MasterCard, and then you have Japan version, and then you have Australia version, and then you have the Europe French and whatever, you know. They can set their own rules in their own country. They can't mandate. I don't understand why this is even allowed for them to mandate the entire fucking world, to like bend the will to the entire world. Just because a couple ladies just doesn't like something that they get offended from, you know. They didn't get rid of The Last of Us 2, which has a graphic sex scene, but they removed mouth washing with no sex whatsoever. Yeah, that literally makes no sense at all, to be honest. Too bad Visa said we handling all your papers. Your mom is handling all my papers every single night.
Then no one else stands a chance, because this kind of censorship is baked into the financial plumbing of the internet.
Censorship is dumb.
Just stay local. It spreads invisibly, algorithmically, and in...
That's the funny thing about it. It's not even the younger generation that's offended with this. It's literally just middle-aged white women. That's it. Middle-aged white women Karen is literally is who's getting offended of this. Like straight up. It's just wild to see that.
Indiscriminately until a single sanitized, culturally loaded worldview becomes the only one permitted. If you've been gaming for a while, this
is a hot take. This is a super hot take. I think your guys' world would be so much better if like all of the old farts who think like this and like want to do stuff like this were just gone. They were just completely gone. And you have the new day and age, young generations from this generation specifically knowing about all this stuff. They would understand completely. But all of the older generations, like the super old generations, the boomers and everything like that, they don't understand, you know? They've passed their prime. Yes, they are past their prime. They literally don't understand this day and age of stuff, you know? I think your guys' world would be so much better. But that's just my personal opinion. Like I said, it's a hot take. But, you know, like I said, that's just my personal opinion on it.
This whole fiasco might feel eerily familiar because we've lived through moral panics before. Back in the 1990s, it was Mortal Kombat, Night Trap, and Doom.
Now, if there are some boomers who understand the younger generation, they can stay. But the other ones who don't understand, there's the door. They can just walk out, you know?
Setting off the alarms. Politicians lined up to denounce them. Headlines screamed about corrupted youth. And a full-blown media circus erupted over pixelated blood and digitized women in leotards.
Oh yeah, I remember this. The first Mortal Kombat, that shit like caused chaos or so for the first one anyways.
It was absurd, but at least it was public. And that's a key difference here, because the 90s panic played out in the open. We got Senate hearings, expert panels, media debates, and front page arguments. Yes, it was often hysterical and misguided, but it was still democratic. And from that chaos came something tangible. The ESRB,
yeah, of course.
A standardized age rating system that empowered consumers to make informed decisions instead of outsourcing morality to corporate boards. It wasn't.
What is the point of literally having the ESRB if these corporate people like can change? Like, you're not allowed to buy this game because it offends a group of people. What is the point of the ESRB? Like, what is the whole point of that shit being invented if we're just gonna go back into that specific time frame, you know, and just let the fucking those people control your shit, you know?
Perfect, but it was transparent, predictable, visible, and today's version of that, well, none of that. It's all about ESG scores and investor safety, and that makes the censorship quieter, harder to trace, and far more insidious. And that's exactly what made Collective Shout so effective. They didn't need a Senate hearing. They didn't need to win the public over. All they had to do was convince a handful of risk-averse middle managers that hosting certain games might hurt their ESG metrics or draw unwanted attention from activist investors. With one spreadsheet and a few headlines, they did what moral crusaders back in the 90s could never do. They got adult games erased from digital storefronts, creators demonetized, and financial access cut off, all without public debate, regulatory oversight, or any clear pathway to challenge the decision. So say what you will.
The age rating is also corrupt. Yeah, of course it is also corrupt. Isn't there like a specific, like, because I know she just explained it or so about like what she just said right now or so of how bad it is now these days. But it's just kind of like, it's like, it's better than literally having like, you know, what we're having this issue right now. A bunch of Karens or so saying that like, I want to get rid of these games because they offend me, you know?
ESRB, at least you knew what the rules were. Now, the rules change without notice. What we're left with is a ghost protocol. A blacklist is shaped by a quiet lobbying group, unseen metrics, and corporate aversion to risk. And all it took to have thousands of games delisted was a strongly worded email and a spreadsheet sent to the right people. As scary as all of this has been so far, and let's be honest, this is bloody scary. What's even more terrifying and dystopian is that this could just be the tip of the iceberg, because the real danger isn't just about the games that got removed, it's about the power shift they represent. Since corporations are allowed to decide what counts as acceptable, that definition doesn't stay fixed.
Yep.
It expands and shifts and will continue to get weaponized. If certain tags are now too risky for payments processors, how long until all sexualized content is swept up? Simply because it might ruffle a few feathers in a boardroom in Zurich, or...
That's the dumb thing about it. There's the censorship of your Australian people won't shut the fuck up about. But yeah, overall, it's like literally literally the rape tag and the incest tag is like, it's been there for generations or so, you know? It's like, it's been there forever, you know? I just don't understand it. The thing is, if parents want to keep their kids safe from porn, watch what they watch on the monitor, their phones, or don't let them even have a phone. I'm a strong believer that no one should be on the internet until they're 18. Yeah, of course. Like, honestly, that's just literally what it is, you know? I just don't understand these women are literally... I'm only Australian on paper, all right? Well, control your damn women over there. Fuck, man. Tell the Karens to shut up. Like, literally. Leave my goddamn lewd content alone, okay? Shit.
Or trigger a backlash in Middle America. Japanese visual novels are already being purged for complying with their own laws in Japan. So, what happens when the spotlight turns to Western games? Do optional romance routes in RPGs get flagged next?
That would be the most dumbest thing if literally love routes in JRPG games or RPG games get fucking blasted off the internet. I'm gonna lose my shit, to be honest. I will literally straight up lose my shit.
Modding platforms like Nexus suddenly
Thank you for the follow. Welcome.
Our entire genre is quietly blacklisted for...
Oh yeah, Sage, there was some person that came in here into my channel or so and literally said, why are you pretending to be Asian? It was crazy, man. There's literally a person that came in here and then saying about like white people don't exist or race or whatever. I have no idea. Some random account that was like literally made like 11 minutes ago.
Being too bleak or too political or just too much of a reputational risk, because that's what happens when...
What happened now is that there's a state in Australia that got so woke, rest of Aussies disowned them, but unfortunately they are making tracks to make it worse for everyone. Oof, that sucks. They want to fist fighting. I see. So you guys have some random woke state over there in Aussie. Jesus.
Morality becomes a matter of brand management. History shows us that censorship rarely starts with bans, it actually begins with silence. In gaming, with developers quietly abandoning ideas they know won't make it past the algorithm. Stories that won't get told, not because they were rejected, but because they were never pitched in the first place. Teams that second guess themselves and projects that get scaled back and sanitized and self-censored, not by the law, but by the looming threat of demonetization and delisting. And maybe you think that's just business, that if creators want to get paid, they should avoid controversy, but that's not really the question. The real question is, who decides what counts as too controversial? Because at this point, it's clearly not the developers or the players or the gaming media. It's a few financial gatekeepers and ideological lobbyists making decisions on your behalf across borders without your input and with no accountability. But there is some hope to take away from this disastrous situation. Sure, it's easy to feel powerless when billion-dollar institutions operate in back rooms, but that doesn't mean nothing works. And people are pushing back, and in some places
Time was simple back then, to be honest.
Working. When DL Site, one of Japan's largest storefronts for indie and adult games, came under pressure, they didn't cave. They
Let's go, dude. Yeah, let's fucking go, dude.
cut ties with Visa and MasterCard and adopted crypto. They added support for prepaid store cards, and yes, it cost them, but it preserved their autonomy and protected their creators.
We can get our big titty mommy demon waifu, chat. We can actually go play this game, chat. This game right here, we can literally go play it.
It was a line in the sand, and it helped.
You know what? I kind of like that hairstyle. Maybe in the future, we can probably get like a hairstyle like this, you know? For my VTuber
in
model.
Japan's
That'd be pretty
government,
nice.
Diet member Yamada Taro, whom we mentioned earlier, went beyond social media and outrage. He launched formal hearings into how foreign financial institutions are rewriting Japan's domestic content policies. That's structural resistance, the kind that pushes for transparency and regulatory oversight. Even in the West, resistance is growing. Petitions demanding an end to financial censorship have racked up tens of thousands of signatures.
No, stupid. I'm talking about my VTuber model in the future.
I know that petitions obviously don't change policy overnight, but they do show politicians, platforms and press outlets that silence is no longer the default and that people are paying attention. So what else can you do? Well, we can start by simply staying informed. Tools like SteamDB can help us track delistings, stealth edits and suspicious removals. If a game vanishes without explanation, don't let it fade. Document it, share it, archive it. Censorship thrives in silence, but visibility disrupts that cycle.
That's true. That's true.
Support developers directly wherever possible through personal sites, DRM-free storefronts or alternative processors. Every time you cut out a middleman, it gets...
Just letting you know, Dubstep, that one hentai game you keep playing that keeps showing up on Discord, they're gonna get rid of it. Just saying. They'll get rid of that game that you own on your Steam page.
harder for banks to dictate the content pipeline and, above all, speak up, because this isn't just about adult visual novels or 1 month's purge. It's about what kind of culture we're building and who gets to decide what survives in it.
True.
Collective Shout, for all their theocratic, regressive anti-consumer views, still managed to pressure billion-dollar corporations into doing what they wanted with just targeted emails, press campaigns and coordinated messaging. If they can do that to silence art, then we can do the same to protect it. Imagine that kind of collective pressure pointed the other way, not to delete games, but to defend them. Not to punish creators, but to empower them. Because this isn't just about visual novels, is it? It's not just about Steam, is it? And it's certainly not just about fucking sex in games. This is about power and about control and about who gets to decide what's allowed to exist and whether you're willing to hand that decision over to a faceless corporate algorithm.
Hey, it's not my fault it keeps showing up on Discord, okay? All right? I see it there at the top of my Discord at the corner right of the server. You're literally doing that.
It's cheesy and cliche to say, but each of you has a voice, so please just use it like I and so many others are doing right now to highlight this situation. And also, don't forget that right now you can lock in Expedition 33 for 43% off and Black Myth Wukong for 37% off. Celebrate
43% off for Expedition 33. That's not a bad price, to be honest.
for 29% off, and the gorgeous Wu Chang Fallen Feathers for 32% off, all through my discount links. Thousands more retro and modern titles are discounted by up to 90%. So, whether you're building a forever library or just grabbing that wishlist title before it quietly disappears, there will certainly be something for you. And if you'd like to support my work more directly, including getting access to my full behind-the-scenes cosplay library, consider backing me over on Patreon. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all again soon.
Not bad, not bad, not bad at all. That was pretty good, actually. That was a good video, to be honest. Honestly. That's not bad, actually. Good video. That was definitely a good video, to be honest. Lady Decade. Very good video. That was a very good video, actually. I enjoyed that. Yeah, overall, I really disapprove of what's actually happening, to be honest. What these credit card companies are doing. Like, no. Nah, bro. Get out of here, bro. Honestly, get out of here. Get that shit out of here. Oh well. Hopefully someone in the future can create some new credit card company or so that kind of like is against, you know, Visa and MasterCard and their practices of holding like 80% of the share market, you know? Hopefully, because that'd be really nice in my personal opinion. But yeah. Anyways, that's the end of the video. You guys can comment, like, subscribe, do all that fancy jazzy stuff. But yeah. Honestly, I don't approve that they're getting rid of like these lewd games in general. Like it just makes no sense, you know. The whole rape, you know, games and the incest games and whatever other ones in general. It's like, bro, it's not that serious, you know. There's literally women who fetishizes that, like literally fantasizes like that in general. It's called a dark fantasy for a reason, you know. If my partner wants to do that with me, I have no problem whatsoever, you know, because like at the end of the day, it's like it's my partner, and we will, you know, we'll just have a consent to do it, you know. It's just, it is what it is. Okay, making a credit card company, I'm naming it Cummies. Visa will interfere with your trade with your VTuber mom. Okay, buddy. All right, Dubstep, shut your mouth. Don't worry, I will do that to Kiara in a moment. Yeah, so dude was crashing out. Yeah, some dude was crashing out. But yeah, overall, like, I don't really approve of this whatsoever. Like, honestly, I don't approve of this. It's just like, you know, if my partner wants to do, you know, that specific kind of foreplay with me, you know, I'm like, as long as it's in the bedroom, there's nothing wrong with it at the end of the day. So I'm like, what? What are you gonna do, huh? What the fuck you gonna do, huh? You can't do anything, Karens, in Australia. What are you gonna do? Do something. Do something. That's what I thought. Anyways, that's the end of the video. And yeah, I don't approve of what's happening so far because everything's happening like super fast. So it's kind of hard to keep up on the uploads on this. But as long as you give me time or so, you know, give me my time and patience or so, because I usually don't upload videos immediately when they get uploaded. Usually wait for like at least like 2 to 3 days for their videos to get part into the algorithm, and then I upload my videos afterwards. You gotta understand, there's a rule of thumb or so when it comes to the reaction stuff, okay? All right? Just letting my YouTube audiences know, okay? For those who don't really know, there's a rule of thumb when it comes to reaction videos. Anyways, that's the end of the video. That'll be a different video we can talk about. And yeah.